right, good afternoon. I don't have much for you today, but I have a few updates. But I do want to make sure you stay for our guests from the World Food Program and FAO. We'll have Ross Smith, who is the WFP's Director of Emergency Preparedness and Response, and Rain Paulson, the FAO's Director of Office of Emergencies and Resilience. They'll both be joining us virtually from Rome to discuss the just released Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System report on Somalia. And Somalia is one of these crises, as they will tell you, that we have not been paying enough attention to. Let me start with another crisis that we speak about here almost every day, and that is Sudan. And to tell you that we remain deeply concerned by the escalating harm to civilians as fighting intensifies in North Darfur State. Our friends at the International Organization for Migration tell us that nearly 2,700 people were displaced following attacks on Misteriya town in the locality of Kebkabiya in recent days. A local organization, the Sudan Doctors Network, says that 28 civilians were killed and 39 others were injured in these attacks. We call again for the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure and for the parties to the conflict to adhere to their obligations under international humanitarian law. And this morning in the Security Council, Valentin Rugwabiza, the head of our peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic, briefed the Security Council via video link. Reflecting on the elections last year, she said the Central African Republic reached an important milestone with the first municipal polls held since 1988 and the most extensive electoral operations ever undertaken in the Central African Republic. Ms. Rugwabiza noted the serious security challenges persist, particularly in the southeast, in the Mbumu prefecture. In the northeast, she added, the conflict in Sudan has driven over 11,000 refugees into the Vakaga prefecture, adding pressure on already limited services, and it is also heightening local tensions. The special representative added that the mission remains engaged with local authorities and communities and continues to consolidate its presence to enhance the protection of civilians. Finally, turning to the impact of liquidity constraints, the special representative said the mission is implementing efficiency measures while ensuring that available resources are dedicated to the protection of civilians and that the mission's footprint preserves coverage in priority areas. Also, I just want to give you a bit more update on Western Sahara. And I can tell you that in close partnership with the United States as penholder on Western Sahara in the Security Council, Stéphane de Misteriya, the personal envoy of the Secretary General for Western Sahara, co-chaired negotiations in Washington. That was on the 23rd and 24th of February. That was co-chaired with Ambassador Mike Waltz, permanent representative of the U.S., and with vital support from the senior advisor for Arab and African affairs to the U.S. President, Massad Boulos. This was the third co-chaired interministerial meeting on Western Sahara since January. The negotiations saw in-depth discussions taking as a basis Morocco's autonomy proposal as per Security Council Resolution 2797. This is encouraging and significant work will still be required, including on the key issue of self-determination for the people of Western Sahara to reach a mutually acceptable solution to the conflict. Turning to the situation in Gaza, today, Ramiz Al-Akarov, the Deputy Special Coordinator, Resident Coordinator, and Humanitarian Coordinator for the Occupied Palestinian Territory, started a two-day visit to the Gaza Strip. In Deir el-Balah, he met with UN agencies and our partners to discuss the challenges to humanitarian access and delivery that our colleagues on the ground continue to face. The agencies expressed their concerns about continued security incidents near the so-called Yellow Line, which has resulted in civilian casualties. South of Gaza, Dr. Al-Akbarov visited Abu Jara, dumping site for solid waste and debris crushing site. Our partners have been using this site to dispose of solid waste, given access restrictions to Gaza's main landfills. Dr. Al-Akbarov also went to the Rafah crossing and witnessed people returning to Gaza. Tomorrow, he will visit the field hospital in Al-Mawasi, where we and our partners are helping patients go to Egypt through the Rafah crossing. Overall, since the ceasefire and as of this Monday, Our colleagues at the World Health Organization have facilitated the evacuation of more than 740 patients, including 432 children, through the Karim Shalom Karim Abu Salam crossing, as well as the Rafah crossing. However, over 18,500 patients, including 4,000 children, still urgently need medical evacuations, and they need those to get specialized treatment that they cannot get in Gaza. To reduce reliance on evacuation, WHO continues to call for the rehabilitation and building of Gaza's health system, including allowing more medical supplies in, restoring damaged facilities, and expanding essential services. WHO also urges a reopening for medical referrals to the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, for greater acceptance by member states for treatment abroad, and for ensuring that patients are able to return to Gaza after their treatment is completed. And I was asked yesterday about an incident that occurred yesterday, Tuesday, in southern Lebanon, in Marjayoun, in which it was reported that our peacekeepers were targeted by Israeli fire. I can tell you that the UN interim force in Lebanon clarified that UN peacekeepers who happened to be in the area performing tasks unrelated to the Lebanese armed forces' presence there. Those peacekeepers observed a group of Israeli Defense Force soldiers dismounting from two vehicles and firing shots towards the Lebanese armed forces post. UNIFIL sent a, quote, stop fire request to the IDF through its liaison channels. UNIFIL confirmed that its peacekeepers were not the target of fire. That being said, we once again call on all parties for immediate de-escalation and urge the parties to return to a cessation of hostilities and fully implement Security Council Resolution 1701, which is essential for stability along the Blue Line. And lastly, I want to flag an interesting report from our colleagues in Vienna, the UN Office for Drugs and Crime. Today, they released an analysis showing that illegal waste flows are causing economic, public health, and environmental damage, especially in low-income countries. The study shows that through illegal dumping, burning movements, shipping, and disposal of waste happens worldwide. When waste is trafficked, the least valuable and or the most difficult and expensive waste to dispose of flows from high-income to low-income regions. These include plastics and e-waste, which can be hazardous substances or harmful chemicals. Since waste is often trafficked to countries that struggle with environmentally sound waste management, this has a significant negative impact on people's health and their environment. UNODC notes that organized crime groups have been found to be involved in waste crime around the world. Corporate involvement in waste crime and trafficking is also common, they found. According to the analysis, legislative gaps, limited enforcement capacities, and lack of traceability and low penalties are all facilitating a trade that some estimate are worth billions of dollars. Speaking of billions of dollars, I have no money to report that we took in today, but we're open our cashiers are open for business to accept checks. So Pam, if you're volunteering for some money, I will take it.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
I know this is not, you may not want to answer this because it's an agency, but the IAEA reported a few days ago that the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia is operating on the sole remaining main power line after losing its only backup for more than a week ago. I did ask IAEA, they're looking into it, they didn't think there was a change. How significant do you think, does the SG think, that nuclear a threat of a nuclear accident could happen in Zaporizhia?
We've always, I mean, since
zone.
Zaporizhia and other nuclear plants have been in the middle of this conflict, we've continued to express our concern. I think the IAEA is best placed to evaluate the technical risk, and we encourage Russian Federation and Ukraine to work closely with the IAEA to ensure the safety of the plant for everyone's sake. Edith Leder.
Thank you, Steph. Two questions. First, on Western Sahara. I do not believe that we have ever been able to get any kind of an in-person briefing from Stéphane de Misteriya. Is that ever going to be possible?
I will say this because Stéphane is a good friend, but I think Stéphane is like me and is never shy of microphones or lenses. That being said, I think given the sensitivity of where the discussions are, he's decided not to speak publicly. As soon as he feels he can, I know that he will.
And secondly, on the turmoil in Mexico following the arrest of one of the cartel kingpins, does the UN have staff in Mexico that's been tracking any of this unrest?
It's a good question. We have a number of agencies present in Mexico. We can check with our colleagues at UNODC if they have anything to say on that. Gabriel, then Namo.
Thanks, Steph. You mentioned that there's still 18,500 patients in Gaza that need to urgently be evacuated. Of those, 4,000 are children. What is the holdup on getting children out of Gaza to get the medical attention they need?
The holdup is, is bureaucratic, not enough access through the checkpoints. Also, as WHO said, we need more member states to accept these cases, right? It's not, the last thing you would want to do when you're evacuating someone with serious medical conditions is just evacuate them and then hope there'll be an ambulance on the other side. So all these things have to be coordinated. The treatment is by definition complicated. Egypt and other countries in the region, I know Jordan and others have taken people in, but we need more member states to take in more people. Namo and then Ibtisam.
Two questions. One, a follow-up on Kobani. Your colleagues have told us that there hasn't been any cross-border movement of aid from Turkey to Kobani, even though Kobani sits right on the border with Turkey, and OCHA has relied on what you have inside Syria. Why is that? Is it because Turkey is not allowing
I think you need to, if that's what they told you, you need to ask our colleagues on the ground, because I don't have the answer from, I don't have the answer from here, and I would just ask them. So I think I appreciate all your questions, Namo, but I think for some of the more detailed, granular stuff, you really need to get it straight from our colleagues in Syria.
Okay, and just one last question on the choice for the next Secretary General. Has Mr. Guterres ever shared his views on why the United Nations has never had a woman serve as the Secretary General, and does he believe it's time for that to change?
I mean, why it hasn't, I think you have to ask those you have to ask those who vote as to why. The Secretary General, I think, will not express himself on the race as it heats up, so to speak. But I think he has clearly said in the past that he thinks. That there should be no question, in a sense, that a woman would make an amazing leader of this organization. Speaking of leaders of this organization, Ibtisam.
Yeah. Thank you. Just to follow up on your Western Sahara note, is there another meeting that is planned on that level? And also today in the afternoon, I think there is a close consultation at the Security Council. Is there any somebody from the Secretariat who is going to attend?
I'll check on the close consultations, and these meetings will happen when they need to happen. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Steph. I wanted to ask about President Trump's State of the Union address yesterday, as well as the new wave of sanctions on ships involved in selling Iranian oil. Firstly, did the Secretary General watch the address, and is he concerned about any of the divisive language or the sanctions that were recently implemented?
I don't believe I don't think he watched it. I know he came back late yesterday. I think in terms of Iran, we would like to see a de-escalation, and I think like everybody, we're looking towards the talks that are scheduled to be held in Geneva tomorrow. Sinan.
Thank you, Stéphane. I have a question on Iran, and I was a little bit late. I'm sorry if you made a statement on it. But the question is, do you have any information regarding the reports, how many people have been killed in Iran? Because some official number says 3,000, and some independent agency says more than 30,000. I wonder if you can...
No, we do not have, as far as I know, we do not have hard numbers. Whether you take the estimate brought by the government or the estimate brought by other groups, it's horrendous and blood-curdling in terms of the number of people that may have been killed during the demonstrations as they only try to express themselves freely.
Can I ask one follow-up? There will be any investigation by the UN in Iran? Because I remember there was some internet connection problems, some other problems. There will be any investigation?
I mean, in terms, from the Secretariat point of view, we cannot, Secretary General cannot lead an investigation without a mandate from member states. What other mechanisms could develop, I think those are questions addressed to other bodies. Islam, and then we'll go back here, and then we'll go to our guests who've been very patient. Islam, did you have a question?
Thank you, Stéphane.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I have two questions. One is about Sudan. Mona Rishmawi, a member of the UN fact-finding mission for the Sudan, prepared a report and said that, quote unquote, the threshold of genocide has been reached in El Fashir, committed by RSF. Have you received that report? Any detail, and also any comment from the Secretary General in this report?
I mean, we're aware of the report. The fact-finding commission, like many of these, the other fact-finding commissions that exist, are a very important cog in getting to accountability. Knowing that the accountability takes time, but they're a very important human rights mechanism. I think we've been talking almost here daily about the horrific situation in Sudan and the reckless actions of those who hold the guns in Sudan and how the suffering of the people that they should be protecting instead of killing. As far as genocide, and I think you know the answer, is that it's not for the Secretary General to declare a genocide. It's for our part, for a competent legal authority. But I think we've been very, very clear on the issue of atrocities in Sudan.
Thank you. And second question, there have been some videos circulating on social media lately showing Muslim men, mostly elderly, being beaten on the streets by Hindu men in India, reportedly just for being a Muslim. Have you received any information in this regard?
I have not. I have not seen those reports, but we'll look into it. Okay, Pam, and then we'll go to our guest.
Steph, a very quick follow-up to Edie's question. When you look into Mexico, can you find out if any UN staff is being asked to shelter in place?
No. I mean, I think the
None.
shelter-in-place orders, from what I saw, were waived about 48 hours ago.
Okay.
And I'm not aware of that we have any specific present in Puerto Vallarta.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's